Wow, it's time for another show full of tips and ideas from the sales growth leadership expert, Dean Akers. Known for his experience in hyper-growing companies and creating cultures for high-performance teams, here's Dean.
Well, welcome back to the Dean Akers Show. This is our 34th show. Another big milestone. We're still number one iTunes video. I'm really excited about that. That's, I think, our 8th week. I don't get it, but, it's all good. We're also eclipsed 110 countries. So as our message keeps getting heard around the world, we're excited to get the feedback from all the listeners that are emailing me at dean@deanakers.com and giving me all their success stories, which is going to lead us to our today's show. I've got ninjas now that are taking our techniques and using it around the country in sales and really becoming successful. Caveat though, as they're out making those cold calls, and this past week was a real good week. I went out cold calling. As a matter of fact, one of the cold calls I went on with one of our folks, we went in and we went to the wrong place by accident. And I walked up and you could see it was the wrong place for us to cold call by accident. And I turned around and I couldn't even believe I did this. I turned around and started to walk back to my car and I stopped. And I go, what? Why have you stopped, Dean? You know better. You know better. You went there. This could be a potential customer. Maybe, maybe not. But guess what? You didn't know. So I walked back in. We went back in. We had a gentleman walk in behind us that had parked a truck. We started talking to him. He ended up being president of the company. We ended up then visiting with him a little bit and then met with his vice president of sales. And he was telling us about their issues, which was exactly what we were asking questions about, which was going to be part of our show today is on questions. And next thing led to another, and they absolutely needed our product to the extent that one cold call, they also had 10 additional locations across the state of Florida. So a simple phone call has led us to or a simple walk-in to go get a tick and a touch for our selling process led us to another great lead. So some of my ninjas have been talking to me over the last couple of weeks and have had big successes. And they asked me a kind of an interesting question, which today is going to be questions. They said, how do I take it to the next level? And so we started walking through some of their challenges, and I'm going to show you some stuff today. I've got it in here, I believe. Yep. At any rate, they started telling me some of their challenges. And as we went through their challenges, we landed on the next level of success is predicated on your ability to ask great questions. Again, if you remember, we have our pocket puke protector still available. I got 500 more last 2 weeks ago. And at the end of the day, that's still highly effective. And the reminder to it is to go in and meet with clients, but not just to vomit all over them and tell them everything you do. Ask great questions. So today's show is really about what are great questions and what do they look like. Well, when you learn the mastery of asking questions, you're gonna discover that the most powerful type of question. Well, there's two types of question: open-end and closed-end. And I think most of you know a closed-end question elicits a terminated response like yes, no. Are you happy? That's a yes or a no. Would you like to buy from me? That's a yes or a no. Could I get you to sign the contract? Yes or no. That's a perfect example of a closed-end question. And the problem with a closed-end question is it abruptly brings you to a finishing point. And when you get a yes or a no, it can cause you to ask more questions. Generally what you'll find is you'll pigeonhole yourself or paint yourself in the corner. So today we're going to talk about mastering open-ended questions. And an open-ended question is a question that gets dialogue. Now there's a caveat to an open-ended question. As we teach people to ask open-ended questions, you want to make sure you're asking broad, open-ended questions without qualifiers. And qualifiers are the things that set people off or kind of direct them in the area you want the question answered. And I'll give you some examples. If you want to ask somebody about their actions and you think their action's stupid, you don't want to say, could you explain to me your stupid actions? What happens when you ask somebody, can you explain to me your stupid actions? Well, immediately you're inferring they're stupid. If you were to rephrase that question and say, could you explain to me your actions? And then they walk you through it and you go, then the next open-ended question, could you maybe share with me any ideas you may have to have handled that, or share with me ideas you have that you would have handled that in different fashions. And what you're trying to do is get them to be introspective. This past week, we had a meeting with a bunch of our teammates, and it was interesting because we were talking about how they didn't get it, their challenges, and everything else. So as this particular company, we were going around the table asking these open-ended questions. The dialogue was insane. The people that we least thought about what to do or how to make our company better had the best insights, and they only came about by really pegging them on open-ended questions. So an open-ended question requires dialogue. A closed-end question is yes, no. For lack of a better word, avoid smart-ass questions like, could you explain how your stupid actions, or share with me your stupid actions that you took? Or I know you're an idiot, can you share with me, ... Do not put the qualifiers on there. Don't put the qualifiers. And don't answer your own questions. Don't ask an open-ended question. So I know you did this, and when you did it, it caused this, this, and this, and this. How do you explain that? Just ask the question. So practice asking great open-ended questions. The next thing that's key to asking great questions is learning to listen. The technique I use, and this is going to drive you crazy. If you're on audio, you're gonna hear this, and if you're on video, it's going to seem like forever. Same with audio. So I'm going to preface it by saying, when you ask a great open-ended question, you then want to allow 10 seconds for a response. That means you maintain absolute silence. You don't go, well, would you explain to me, give me your explanation of what happened and ... And then you go, and then they start talking, and you go, yeah, oh, I agree, or whatever. Silence means silence, and 10 seconds sounds like this. Would you outline how you plan to help us get this product launched? That was 10 seconds. I know those that are out listening on audio were probably ready to turn it off. Those watching on video were probably looking at what kind of crazy guy's clicking his thumb 10 times. 10 seconds is an eternity. They will always speak and start talking within that 10 seconds. Now I'm going to give you a tip that is worth $1 bajillion to you. I call it the gear shift. So when they start talking to you, all of a sudden they start sharing blah, 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 blah. When they stop, and you still haven't interrupted them, you haven't said a word, you haven't gone or anything, and when they stop, click your fingers about 3 times, and you're going to witness one of the coolest phenomena of question asking. And I call it the gear shift. Because that's when you're on sales and you ask now that open-ended question and they start talking after that delay, and then you're quiet when they finish, and stay quiet. I use the word shut up. Stay shut up. All of a sudden, they'll start talking again. And here's where the truth really comes out. When you stay shut up, they start really opening up. Had a phenomena this morning. I met a potential client, didn't even know it was a potential client, absolute cold call. When I met the client, I asked them open-ended questions. They started dialoguing with me. So then I asked them a couple more open-ended questions, and I stayed shut up. And the guy stopped talking for about 2 seconds. And then he started sharing with something with me that was related to the question, but was never in the direction of the question. It took it to a whole new place. And in that dialogue, he shared with me that the thing he had just started doing was over $1 million. And oh, by the way, we supply the stuff to that $1 million. He was kind of shut up to me on the onset. After that brief gear shift, he opened up, and then I asked him some more open-ended questions. I said, well, how would I get involved with this $1 million to help you out? And I shut up, and then he started talking again. And then he goes, but you have to have a good price. And I said, let's assume I have a good price. Tell me what that price looks like. He said, I would do business with you if you could come back at this. And I go, what's your most important criteria? He outlined all that. I walked away from an absolute crazy, unintended cold call with a huge potential client. And when I walked away, he not only had shared a boatload of stuff, he was engaged. So, ask open-ended questions. Click and shut up, let the gear shift happen, and you'll be amazed at what happens. Now, my ninjas and stuff, and I've been doing this for years, when they get in a funk, they always go, well, I'm doing that, Dean. And that's where we use recorder pens. And I have a smaller one too, and I buy them on Amazon. You can buy them anywhere. And I just put them in the pocket. So when I'm out that day, we record it. These pens are really cool. These pens are really cool. They have a little USB, stick them in, download the WAV file. You can send them through Fiverr, get them transposed for $5 for a 20-minute file, or just listen to them. So far in my career, when we've done this, and we've done it hundreds and hundreds, maybe thousands of times with my sales teams, my own sales teams, and they do it voluntarily. This isn't a criticism. This is how we get better. When we do it, 100% of the time, when we listen back to the recording, we can see the train wreck in the process before we ever see the crash. And what it means is we can see where they lost control of the sale, or lost control of the dialogue, or lost control of the customer, or got in the position of not being able to really engage the customer long before they thought. And it was all by them puking. So today I want you to go away with a couple of tips. One is open-ended questions. Practice open-ended questions. Change your sales program all the way around. If you're in sales management, practice open-ended questions with your teams. Role play with them with open-ended questions. Role play with them shutting up. Track and listen to yourself and see how you interrupt customers. It's amazing. Practice it. Next, go buy yourself a recorder pen. Buy it for yourself and just listen back to your sales conversations and improve. And you're gonna find as you improve your open-ended questions, and as you really get on top of your game, asking these open-ended questions and learn how to shut up for 10 seconds, you're going to have unbelievable sales success. You're going to have unbelievable communication success. And if you're in management, you're going to have unbelievable leadership success. So the message today, open-ended questions and shut up. You guys have a great week. If you need any help, remember it's Dean at deanakers.com or help at deanakers.com. I'm here for you. I appreciate the emails I get from everybody. I answer all the emails I get from everybody. I send tips back to those that email me, and I engage those that email me. So just if you need additional help, feel free to reach out to me at any time. And remember, ask great open questions and shut up.
We hope you enjoyed this week's show. Subscribe today to our podcast and send questions or thoughts to help at deanakers.com. Also, visit Visit us at www.deanacres.com to listen to prior shows and view helpful videos. Also, great tips to download.